Okay, so this video will be looking at the customer section really closely to make sure that we understand how that works within 390 really well. All right, so here again, we have all of your customers in your business from time long till date in one section. And there is a search bar here that helps you to just search all of your customers based on name, email, the sources that you've listed and different sources depending on where these customers are from. And labels, I'll show you where to do that. Then date created, so you can search customers within any time frame. Just click on any date you want. And when you do that and you hover to any other date, you could even go to the next month this way and will give you the customers that were created in that time frame. And if those customers were archived, you could just easily archive or do this to see the archived or unarchived states. And created by means which of your staff members created these customers. You can create or click multiple. And there is this button here to export. So exporting, of course, back into spreadsheets, even though we don't like that. But for some people still want to keep that for, let's say, storage reason, you could still export this back to spreadsheets, ironically. All right. And so all sections still shows all of the customers. Then analytics. So analytics works this way, whereby you have a drop down here where you could just choose to filter all of the customers based on any of these time frames. So if you want to see them maybe last 7 days, last 4 days, last quarter, etc., you could just come here and see all of your customers in this time frame. Right now, these are the sources that we've added automatically for you. And in analytics, you could just come here and you can see now that one customer came in from advertising. And this was done when we clicked on advertising. And there is this icon here. When you click on it, it just helps you filter even further down the customers that are in this section. So it could help you with filtering customers, let's say all customers from cold email or Instagram, etc. Could help you get all of those. Then based on countries, for businesses that have a lot of data, it quickly just helps you see how many of these customers are in all of these states and countries and cities. It helps you get all of that information out as well as labels. So let me quickly show you where you can set all of these things for customers, and that's in settings. So there is a CRM sources. So the customers and the leads, they share the same sources because if a lead came in initially and is converted to a customer, it still doesn't change the source of the lead. So all of your CRM sources are the same. So that's why it is not customer sources, but CRM sources. So cold call, cold email. So even if, like I said, the customer is converted, or rather the lead is converted to a customer, that customer will still have that source as when they came in as a lead. So it's shared across all. And you could just come here to the bottom. These are some of the stuff that we have, and you can just add as many more sources as you'd want. Then on the right-hand side here, you could choose to delete any of those sources and it would take out all of the sources or anyone. I would not make any change here because I like the default sources that we give because it already covers a lot of businesses out of the box. Then the next one will be customer labels. So here is where you can define additional customers. So if you would say these are our premium customers, and for labels, it comes with an accompanying color. You could choose to set a color for this particular label, premium. So for every label, there's an auto-generated color. So if I add on that one and say these are bronze and there's already a yellow color, I could choose to go with yellow, maybe. And I could save that. So when I do that, those labels are already saved for the customers. And customer task statuses, I'll show you where this come in handy. It works in the sense that for your customers, you could also create tasks inside their profile. And these are the statuses of those tasks only for your customers. And this is different from the task management that I'll show you, but this is just for customers. And we don't also end there or stop there. We also have the task labels as such. And but I'll not touch on this because it's not frequently used. But if You also have different labels for your customers for their tasks. You could just come in and set the same thing, it works the same way. All right. So if I come back to add a customer, we looked at this earlier to add in, and I click on that particular customer now. I can see all of the information that I've imputed earlier in this for this particular customer. The summary, the basic information that I needed, and for the address, we already automatically created an address based on what was imputed in that pop-up. I could still choose to come here and add additional addresses for that particular customer if need be, and every other information. So maybe one is primary, one is delivery, all of that. And I mentioned something about tasks. So for every customer, you could also create and assign tasks to them. So any task I create here would be assigned to this customer, Samuel Jackson. So if I do new task and I say reach out to customer and whichever description I want. So there's this part called goal in 390. We shouldn't worry about that yet. I'll come back to that later. But all of your tasks in 390 can be assigned to goals. And you could assign it to myself or my assistant for this particular task. Maybe I'll assign it to my assistant. And the status, remember this task status is that we saw for the customers earlier. So you could just decide to move that here. And labels would be here as well. Then due dates. Due dates is, let's say, anytime I choose, and due time too could be anytime I choose, and I create the task. Okay, so for the labels, I think we created labels earlier. Let's see, customer labels. Okay, we have that here. Let me just reload this page. So we have that label reloaded for us. So coming back here, and I add a task. Okay, so that isn't working. We'll fix that. All right. But in your case, I'm sure this will be fixed after the call for us to be able to see labels. But in this case, the labels for the tasks should be here, right? Let me see. Let me see. Okay, we didn't create task label, so that got me confused. So let's say task label one, and we add that. And I come back to the task, then yeah, I can have that there. So that works as it should. All right, so now we have the task for this customer here, and we have the notes. You could also decide to add any of these notes, whether it's a call or an email. You could just decide to say, send a welcome email and say, we sent this customer an email stating some things. And so you could just do this and you add that email. So on this notes is just really keeping tab of every form of activity that you've carried out on that particular customer. And you have that here. So you can just keep adding, and if it was a call, it will ask what day you made the call and what time, then you can log that. If it was a meeting, you could do that as well, what date and time. If it was a visitation, what day and time. And if it was a text doesn't take date and time. We'll just use the automatic auto-generated one. And for invoices, I'll show you how invoices could be added in the invoice section of the video. For transaction, I'll show you how that can be added as well for the customer. And based on some of the additional functionalities, you would have them on this customer page. So bookings for the customer will show here once we activate the bookings feature. And appointments would also show, the payables, the receivables would show here as well. Even when they fill your forms, lead generation forms, everything would come here, but they would only activate when you have this activated in the features that we have. All right, you could come here to update the customer, the information that you saved, just to pull that. And if you make a customer an organization, there's a bit of change. You just have access to contacts. And I could quickly just do that to show you. If I convert that customer to an organization, now we have contacts here. So I can now add a contact within the organization, but I do not want to kind of like change this data because Samuel Jackson is already a name of an individual. You could create another customer that is an organization, then add those contacts underneath. And you can choose to archive this customer. And let's say we are done, or this customer is not really available, or is not part of our, maybe it's like some years ago and we just need to take the customer out of the list. We could just choose to archive that customer. And when you do that, the customer will be archived. And when you go to all customers, you won't see the archived customer anymore in that section, but the people in mind should be able to access the customers on their end. All right, so that ends this video on customer. The next one will be touching on leads.